Welcome to our basketball coaching class presented by Basketball Immersion and Luceo Sports, where we provide a platform for top basketball coaches to dive deep into the details. We're excited to have Columbia assistant coach Cy Lippold in the basketball coaching class. Lippold is in her fourth year on staff, and her previous 3 seasons saw Columbia post a combined 76-20 record with a combined 37-5 mark in the Ivy League. It's the best 3-year stretch of basketball in Columbia basketball history, which includes the first 2 Ivy League championships in 2023 and 2024. Cy was also a 4-year point guard at Dartmouth, and she joined the Lions in May 2021 after 2 years as a graduate assistant at Mercer. Cy, welcome to the basketball coaching class.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here and show you a little bit.
I'm excited for you to share this. This is Hot Shot Coaches, and on the surface, as Cy said to me just before we got online, it's a shooting drill, but it's so much more, and that's what I'm excited to be able to see. So, Cy, why don't you share some of it with us?
Yeah, so before I dive into the actual video, it's going to look like a lot because it is a lot. It's a high volume shooting drill, as we said, but it takes into account a lot of other things that Columbia, our program, is really good at. So it's a rebounding drill, it's a passing drill. I like to even say it's a culture drill. So it's 4 minutes on the clock is what it is at its base. We've done it in very different ways, but depending on roster sizes and how many contesters we have available. But at its roots, 4 minutes on the clock, 4 basketballs, 4 shooters, 4 rebounders, and 4 contesters. So living in the fours there. And it's going to be, so right now, if you can see my screen, what it looks like in its form is these are the 4 shooters on the perimeter. All threes is what we're shooting here. We've got 4 contesters. We're lucky we have a lot of scout players, so we've used them. Our coaches have done it in previous years where we haven't had as many hands of help. And then we have our 4 rebounders here sitting in the paint. Everyone on the baseline and sideline, they're waiting for their next up turn. So if you have extra bodies, they'll fill in eventually as the minute goes. So for the minute on the clock, we have a shooter at these 4 spots. They're on the move constantly. So we talk about as shooters finding windows, depending on where your rebounder is, getting to space where you are in a direct line of their pass. So I used an example from last year because we have our, Ivy League Player of the Year from last season, Abby Shue, featured in this video. And she, I think, does this to an elite level. So we're going to watch some of what she does here. But I also want to talk about rebounders as we go because they're a huge part of this drill too. So again, big picture, a minute at each of these spots, you're on the move between the wing and the corner. Here, you're working between the slot and the, wing, top of the key, same thing on both other sides. At the minute mark, buzzer sounds, you rotate to the next spot, new player comes in, last player is out to the end of the line, and it just goes on for 4 minutes. So obviously, goal is to get as many shots up and makes as you can. So we're keeping track of attempts and makes through this time, individually and as a team. And a goal, team goal, we're looking at 80 plus is like good. You're a good 3-point shooting team if you can make 80 plus in this drill. 90 is great. And then we talk about 100 being elite. I think our team record is around 115, 120. So we've had some really good shooting, moments in this drill. And yeah, so
well, that's tremendous. That gives everyone something to shoot for as a goal as well, Cy. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Can't wait to see this.
Yeah, so I'll dive into, I think it might be easiest to just look at one person here. So we're going to look at Abby as a shooter first. And then in that second minute, I'll point out one of our rebounders that I think does a really good job rebounding.
As an aside, Coach Griffith obviously did the basketball podcast, but I follow the program and the offense is tremendous. But Abby in particular, I isolated and I showed both my daughters how she plays. And you mentioned finding windows, and I know we're going to see examples. Tremendous at that. Just a great skill.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something, it's a underestimated and, skill that not many teams or players focus on, but it is, it's a game changer for being an elite shooter at this level, is creating space between you and your defender and, waiting for them to look away for a second before you make that change of direction. So yeah, so I'll show a little bit here. Again, it's a lot going on, but I want to really focus here on Abby on this left wing, who's going to be on the move here. So I'm going to put the volume on too, because it does get a little, I think that's part of it. It's fun, chaotic and loud and fun. So hopefully you can hear that as well and hear me over it. But here's Abby. That minute on the clock is going to start. So contester here, there's really the rebounders are going and finding shooters. They're not designated to one person. So it's also fun and chaotic in that way. And one thing that we've had emphasis on in this drill is knowing where your shooters are. So you'll see Abby gets a ball almost every second because her rebounders are aware that she's going to get the team the best score if she gets the most shots up. So you see Abby, she's constantly finding space between her and the rebounder. When the rebounder changes, her window is going to change slightly. She's without a ball for a little bit here. I'm sure everyone's yelling, get Abby a ball, get Abby a ball. And it's not like you're moving every shot. It's, again, based off of where your rebounder is. So
And I'm going to start.
Okay. So yeah, you can see Abby is on the move for this entire minute here and constantly finding these windows.
So they don't have to stay in an area. They can move wherever they can find space, right?
Yep, so they're constrained slightly to this, wing spot technically would go all the way from the 45 to the corner,
Okay.
but you're finding space within it, obviously not running into your teammates. If your teammates at the top of the key and you want to get in their space to find that window, totally fine. But there also is an awareness of who's around you.
The contesters are just guided, so they're not actually blocking it. I saw the one time Abby caught it and didn't have space, and then she reset herself. So is that something you emphasize as well?
Absolutely, right? So the contesters are there to give a somewhat dummy contest, but also, get in the way of windows at times so that our players have to react and change their window based off of, again, where that rebound is coming from. So they're not there to block the shot. For Abby, we typically required a higher level contest because that's what she was seeing in games. But yes, we do teach, if the pass isn't perfect, reset yourself, maybe even take a dribble if you need to and get to the next spot. But that same exact pattern is happening at all four of these spots.
Well, Cy, I know you're a fan of the stuff I share, and you know that this aligns with me. Chaotic, messy,
Yeah.
distracting information, visual stimuli, constantly perception and decision. Just
Yeah.
beautiful drill. This is awesome.
Yeah, and it's evolved over time too. Like I would say it started as this is a shooting drill. This is a high rep shooting drill. And what we've done in previous years is, again, with how great we are at offensive rebounding, I think currently we're top 20 in the nation in offensive rebounding. And we are not a team that has 6'6", 6'5" forwards ripping them down. It's 1 through 5. So we tag up offensively. And that concept has allowed us to really create a lot of second chance opportunities. And so in moments of, our season where we want to put a huge emphasis on rebounding, we've also flipped this drill to, hey, in your minute of rebounding, compete with your teammates. Who can get the most rebounds in that minute?
I
And
love that.
it's,
And I just want to
yeah,
emphasize that. Like sometimes coaches have managers and different people do the job, but these are reps for your rebounders as well, aren't they?
exactly. Like massive reps. I mean,
Learning where the ball is going to land, perceiving it, getting to
yeah.
the spot. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and that's where I think the culture comes into it of this drill too, because it's a selfless act, right? Rebounding isn't the sexy part of basketball, but we make it a lot of fun here and sexy because our players know how important it is to create a good shot. So that's you having a clean rebound. We talk a lot about two-handed rebounds. That's also you having a connection with your teammate as a shooter, right? So that's eye contact, that's a verbal, hey, a name with that pass. And then we also attach encouragement to passes. That is a team rule. So anytime you want a teammate or expecting a teammate to shoot a ball you pass to them, it comes with a hit that, knock down, cash out. You can get creative with it, but there's a culture piece to it.
My mind goes to even more chaos and adding a few offensive rebounders to it. So they have to box out or do some different things that way as well, especially for some of the young teams I coach. They could usually benefit from having more box out opportunities.
For sure, for sure. And that concept, as I mentioned, of like tagging up, what we do is, we have our smile and we talk about the chin space right below the smile. And these are long rebounds. So we even prescribe, hey, long rebounds or long shots are long rebounds, right? They're not gonna bounce off and be pretty right around the rim. So you can see every shot attempt, our players are creating space around the rim to attack these rebounds with two hands, like in space. So yeah.
Play a little bit more so we can watch some of these things you just talked about.
Absolutely. So I'm going to point out here Perry Page. She was a junior in this clip, but is a senior now and is one of our best rebounders on the offensive and defensive end. So you can see, makes you can always get out of the net, but you can see every time that ball, the shot's going up, pass is getting out of her hands, she's getting almost away from the rim in space so that she can track and see where that ball is coming off and attack it with space. So again, we're not living with our heads underneath the rim, just waiting for makes. We're like trying to track rebounds and attack those with two. Again, backs up right there to go and grab this one. So, and you can see everyone kind of doing that, living outside of the smile as offensive rebounders, because you can always attack closer to the rim. It's really hard to backpedal and get a rebound. So that's part of the concept that we teach as rebounders. And as I mentioned, strikes are a big part of it too, right? So that's a baseball term, obviously, that we use, but throwing it to a target in the shooting pocket is going to be as important as any part of that teammate's shot. So the culture, the selfless part of it all.
Defensive rebounds leading to threes. It's such a powerful thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, those are things we do really well. So offensive rebounding, we're top 20 in the nation. Assists per game, we're top 40 in the nation. And then 3-point attempts per game, we're top 50 in the nation. So this is all part of it.
So I know coaches are always curious about the rotations and how you flow from, say, the one group shooting to the next group shooting. And then the other thing is, can you talk about, like, if we don't have managers, we don't have coaches, we can do this with all players, and we can do it in smaller groups instead of just 4-on-4. It could be threes, it could be twos, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. So first, every minute is when we're rotating. So we have those four players shooting at their spots, but also creates clock awareness. That's another layer that we talk about is on the baseline, on the sideline, you're counting down, hey, 3, 2, 1, we're rotating. So in this specific day, we had a lot of hands and a lot of bodies and even a lot of shooters. You see 3 blue jerseys here waiting to shoot. So in this day, we actually rotated 2 spots every minute. This year, we have a smaller roster of 12. So it's usually 6 shooters, 6 rebounders, and they're rotating only 1 spot every 2 minutes. So again, that buzzer sounds or that minute's up. What you'll see here, I'll get to that transition so you can see it. Right around 4 minutes, 3. So right around that minute mark, you'll see buzzer will sound. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. 4 new rebounders come in.
That's awesome.
Shooters rotate 2 spots, and we're off to the next. Same
Lag
set.
free, just like you want in transition. Lag free, and it's
Exactly.
lag free in your drills. That's something coaches really aspire to.
Absolutely. So, and again, if you have low numbers, like we've had coaches be the contesters in this drill. We've had rebounders rebound for the entire 4 minutes of this drill. So they're exhausted by the end of it. And again, depending on the day, like our, blue team versus our navy team is gonna change. It's not like we're putting our best 5 shooters out in one team and our navy team is our least 5. It's changes day to day. So with that being said, like if you want Abby, for example, to get a lot of reps up of fatigue shooting, she might be in the Navy group that day and be a rebounder for the first 4 minutes. Then we blow our whistle. Once that drill's up, we go to the other side of the court and we flip. So now those players who were just rebounding and gassed and exhausted have their turn at shooting, and the shooters are the rebounders. So for the 4 minutes, the shooting team remains the same and the rebounding team remains the
I
same.
know your program's big on representative practice, representing the game and a lot of
Yes.
what you do. And this is a great example of that. It's like we don't need to do those standalone on-air reps when we have a team there to be able to simulate all these situations. And I just imagine there's so many different layers that you can add to this as well.
Absolutely. Like I said, we've put emphasis on rebounding. We've put emphasis on finding those windows, on communicating to your teammates. Again, we count attempts and shots. So attempts is where our rebounders get their love. If we're looking for 200 plus attempts, and that shouldn't change, on any day because that's going to tell you how many rebounds you're getting as a team and passing out. It's the makes that are going to determine, if you're having a good or a bad shooting day as a team.
I'm just talking out loud with you, Cy, as I watch this, because a lot of coaches talk about, oh, we need to do pivoting drills. And I look at this and you go, your rebounders are getting natural pivoting reps on every rebound. And it's just beautiful. And you could even have the contesters contest the rebound outlet type of situation to work on kind of pivots and outlets versus pressure. Just beautiful stuff that you can do with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. And again, it's evolved. It hasn't always looked like this. Even now, watching back on this, and again, this was last year, and you'd mentioned the rebounders and the pivoting. I'm seeing some travels happening, and that's something we've added this year, which is like you can't just run around with the ball in your hand as a rebounder. How do you make that game like? So if you don't have an immediate pass, dribble, find some space.
I was going to say you can add a dribble constraint to it, or no dribble constraint
Yeah.
depending on how hard you want to make it.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, this is hot shot, and it's a drill that we do a lot. We actually, in preparation for this, I was watching it and we did it yesterday, and this is a two-game week for us. So it's an exhausting drill. We understand that and we know that, but we were like, how can we get back to doing this drill as regularly? And we did it for 30 seconds at a spot. So like you can even shorten the constraints and the time limits. It's very flexible.
Well, Cy, this is an awesome drill. I appreciate you sharing it. And let's talk about you for a second.
Absolutely.
Relatively young coach, transitioning as a 4-year player at Dartmouth to being a graduate assistant at Mercer, and then now 4 years at Columbia. Talk
Yep.
to us a little bit about that transition and then putting yourself in a situation for future goals.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved basketball, and I've come from a family of teachers and educators, mostly in the classroom, high school level. So coaching seemed like a very obvious path for me to combine that love of teaching and love of basketball that I've always had. And yeah, I played at Dartmouth, which I really enjoyed and loved the experience of being in the Ivy League. I wouldn't have said that I was naturally an Ivy League kid growing up. I probably could not have named all 8 Ivies if you asked me. And that was a big opportunity for me as a player to get an education like that and use my basketball experience to get me that opportunity. And then quickly transitioning to, Columbia, it was amazing to see what Meg, Coach G, has done here in her tenure because when I played, Columbia wasn't that good. And Coach G had just taken over in the last 2 years of my college season when I was at Dartmouth. So I got to see the Columbia before Meg, and I got to see the Columbia during Meg, and then to be a part of. I came on at the perfect time. I came on right when they started to take off, and to be a part of it now, it's. I believe in the culture, and like that is truly, I believe in the culture and I believe in the people. Like Meg has been an amazing mentor to me, and she has done an amazing job just flipping this program around to see the buy-in from our players now. 9 years in for her, 4 years in for me. It's a lot. This is what you want to be, where you want to be as a program, sustained culture and success.
I tell anyone that'll listen that Meg is a star and the program's
Yeah,
incredible to watch, and not just on offense, but the whole package that you guys put together there is just awesome at the level that you compete with as well. So I know you're a big part of that, and congratulations. And certainly on behalf of Luceo and Basketball Immersion, thank you for sharing in the basketball coaching class.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Chris. I'm a huge fan again.
Thanks for watching the Basketball Coach class. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And check out luceosports.com and basketballimmersion.com today.